Want to have the classroom on your own, or do you want to go into classrooms and draw kids out for what they need, or what
This would be specifically helping kids for dyslexia. So I was specifically pulling kids for and working with them to help them with dyslexia. Yeah. And a lot of people, there's a lot of these same classes are done by reading specialists. So, yeah.
Cool.
That's, anyways, first of all, I wanted to start by telling you thank you for letting me meet with you and work with Amy. I've really enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot from just watching Amy about how to help a kid grow, and so I really, really appreciate that. Before I start, I want to ask you, do you have any questions, specific questions, concerns, or things you noticed that you saw improvements on? Just before I throw my stuff in there, I want to know what your
I did see the improvement just from the attention that was given to the where her weak spots were, just giving attention to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I really enjoyed just coming and having her just spontaneously writing a song or spontaneously writing about her nature. She didn't have to write about the nature walk. She could have come and told us all about it, but she wanted to write it down. And that was really nice to have her. I think that
this last Sunday really she gave a talk in primary, and she wrote her whole talk herself, and I did not change her talk. I let her give it exactly how she wrote it. Cool. And so then yesterday we worked on the spelling, but it was all things like when she spelled also, it was with 2 L's, which is all. And so everything she did made sense. Yeah, it does. It really does phonetically make sense. But a lot of things that she would have missed before, like the beginning blends or things like that, she's getting. Yeah, that's really awesome. So I think, first of all, they wanted me to go over an overview of what we did, but I think you know a lot of it, but we'll just go through the steps. First of all, every time I came, we were doing a book share. So that I think that really helps, part of that writing is seeing someone else's writing, and gives them a lot of ideas. Also, it was good for her to see vocabulary and words, and it was really also nice to see. And the books that we were supposed to be pulling for her specific interventions were ones that were writing specific, so just something that would encourage writing. So for instance, one of the books was talking about a lot of ones I did were just like performance or something like that, so that they were talking about their performance or how they were using their skills and their reading or writing skills to make something. Anyways, so that just helped to encourage writing. Then we also did the word sort. You saw the word sort. I gave you the word sorts, and that was just sitting there and working on specifically what she was needing help on. And I saw some improvement, I think, because she was coming up. I like how the word sort teaches you. I'd never seen the word sorts before, and because I do kindergarten, I hadn't had as much experience with things like that either. But it was really cool to see how they were able to come up with their own ideas about the rules and stuff that you wouldn't have necessarily seen or thought about if you weren't comparing how those words were spelled. And then the other thing that that was fun. Yeah, and then we did an activity with it. You saw those little games. You guys played that game at home, so that was cool. And then the other thing that we did was work on the writing. So a lot of what I worked with her, and I'll show you in a minute, that I saw, we worked with spelling. She did a really fantastic job of getting her thoughts out and just putting things. She did a fantastic job of saying what she wanted to say. I was helping her with a lot of technique. So we were working on capitalization. So I noticed that her capitalization was very sporadic. She was capitalizing D's where she was, because it's easier to write a capital D, and you don't have to worry, is that going to be right or wrong kind of thing. And just other things, but we were working on specifically capitalizing the beginning of sentences and that kind of thing. And then the other thing we were working on was the love spelling. She was spelling they wrong a lot, and a couple other words, specifically ones that were very high frequency. So we worked on those just so that,
because those were specific, you know, we wanted to help her with that. Anyways, and then we're making sure we share it. You know, and I thought of when I did, and we can get into it more later in a second, but I thought it would be fun, you know, find a newspaper or junior writer of something maybe, or for, I think she would really love that because she likes writing. She's really good at it, and the more opportunities that she has to actually do something with it would really cool. Anyways, a newspaper is just one of those ideas I thought about. I thought, oh, that would be fun. So the first test that we did, I'm going to go over the assessments with you now, is that we did the motivation assessment. And just looking at, and I do apologize because this is not stapled, but you can see just how it moved. Even just looking at it aesthetically, how it moved. This was the first one. This is the second one. So everyone kind of moved over one slot. So that was really fun. And don't let this 70, here is the score side by side. Don't let this 70 fool you. She went from a 60 raw score, so 8% of liking, we kind of went over that before, to 35%. Huge jump in enjoyment of writing because she saw what it could do for her and she saw what she could do with it. And I think that really was fun for her. So that was cool. That was very cool. I like I said, I thought it was fun. She was spontaneously doing stuff on her own, and I don't know how much she was doing that before, but it was really fun to come and just have her spontaneously doing that. So. Yes. The spelling test, I probably kind of showed you this before. There wasn't really much change, and some of this is the second one, and this is the first one, because I just I gave you that other paper, so I just wrote what I had recorded. She actually just dropped one of her short vowels. She missed unstick. And so, besides that, she stayed the same, and the other thing is, and you know, it happens. This one, she actually improved we've been talking a lot about the blends. She improved one blend, and she only missed the tries, and that one's it's a little hidden. And she had one more long vowel sound. And this is what we are mostly working on, is the long vowels. And it actually, went one down. But in my opinion, the reason that happened is because those long vowels actually they're just hard. And they're not common. And so and it was only 4 weeks of intervention. So I don't think it shows any at all that it wasn't working. I really just think, especially because it was one variable, I really think it just means that, I think if you keep doing that, she'll start moving out. She moved one in this range right here. She stayed basically the same right here. So I think she just means, that she needs to keep working on that. But the more exposure she can get to that. Another thing that I thought about, I just want to talk about this like right here separately, or while we're talking about this. I thought, I know she's reading really well, and I know that I saw what she could read. I was really impressed with her, but just making sure that you're giving her challenging books to read, something that's not on her comfort level, because I think the more that she sees those harder words, the more that she's gonna, and I'm not saying, I have no idea what she's reading, so maybe that's exactly what you're doing, but just, making sure that she's getting a lot on her comfort and independent level, where she's not having to ask for help. But then there's times, you kind of want her to have, hey, Mom, what's this word? Or how's this word? Because the more she sees those words she hasn't seen before, the more she's going to get exposure to that. And my niece was doing that the other night. She was picking up a book. She's just loves reading. She's in kindergarten, and she's reading, and having to ask words. But then, she came to me last night, I can read the whole book by myself now. And so she's really proud of herself. And that's what it takes, is like the more you see that word, because that's a lot of what English is like, I remember when we were younger, and it's like, well, does that sound right? That's what they cannot ask you. They can tell you a rule. It's like, does it sound right? Right. Because so much of that just, does it sound right? And, continue to using the computer when she's typing stuff up will help her with that spelling, and just keep doing the word sorts. So that would, I think that if you do those 3 suggestions, she'll just keep on the right path, and she's on the right path. She's doing really great. This was her phonics score. So she, what I saw, this is the first score and this is the second score. 26, same. We got to jump in here because she, remember the consonants that she dropped the vowels from when she was saying the vowel sound with it. And she got one more vowel sound, so improvement there. These 3 were the same. She kind of flip-flopped on the long vowel and variant vowels, but she did, the long vowels she got, when she's actually reading those, she did better. So that tells me, like I said, that makes me feel good about my theory, that things are good. She just needs to keep seeing that. And then multisyllabic words were the huge jump. She went from 14 to 23. Woohoo! Yes. So that's impressive that they're multisyllabic words. I think sometimes because of context. But she only got she missed 10 almost half of those. And yet when she did it, and the second time around, she only missed 1. So kudos, we did some good there in just 4 weeks. I was like, yes, score. And I had her writing underneath there. I was like, where did I go? Okay, so the things I noticed that were different, this is the beginning and this is the end. Things that I noticed that were different were obviously this first one was slightly longer, but it took her a lot longer. This one was probably about 7 minutes, and this one was like 15 minutes.
And her writing looks so...
It's more neat, isn't it? Huh? Yeah, it does. It looks more neat. And if you notice, she is capitalizing. See how butterflies drink from flowers? That's not capitalized. That's capitalized. Not on this one. The capital beginning of the sentence, capital at the beginning of the sentence, capital, I mean, everything that was correct. So it was faster, which was awesome. It was neater. And she's doing her capitals. So some really good improvements there. I did notice that this one's a little difficult because we weren't really having her write she could have made it into a story. She just chose to describe the picture, which is fine. But she, because of that, I noticed she did a lot of like text forming, where it was, or what I just call, as millennials, where, some yellow coral, and she's leaving out a lot of the articles and stuff, which is, not bad. It's easy to put in, and she knows how to do it. It was just, that's what she chose to do. So, just making sure that when she's doing the writing piece, or you want her to, she knows, hey, make sure you put some articles in there. But I don't think it's a huge issue. It's just, that's what I saw. But she, and I did notice that, I didn't notice that.
She didn't spell yellow right there, but she did here.
Yeah, she did. And so that was cool. Other than that, they're about the same. But yeah, that was an improvement. So we saw some good change there. So for that one, I just would say just work on complete sentences when you're writing, and just make sure that, and like I said, it's hard because when you're texting, you're going to, so that, just, I think that she knows, and she knows how to do it. So just teaching her, when you're teaching her how to do things, okay, this is an application, or this is a specific piece that you want to make sure we're going to do this properly. This one you can, if you're texting, yeah, but when you do this, you're going to do it. Like I said, just working on other audiences. So I thought of something like I mentioned earlier, newspapers, or just something with junior writer of a newspaper, or with, I don't know what you do with the homeschool group, but just, maybe find some, or even a book. That's the fun thing about you being a homeschool mom. She could write a book and you could totally help her publish it. And she might actually really do, I think she could really do awesome with that. If you say, hey, would you like to, what if we made a nature book, and you put the photos together, working on photography and writing, hey, a description of what she saw, or, she should totally, the children's books are, just whatever you want to make him. She could totally do that. And even if she never actually published it, I think she would enjoy it and feel good about it. I mean, we did a lot of that when I was in elementary school, and you probably did too, or even high school. We were having us make. I still have one from high school I made, and it makes you feel good because hey, I wrote this, and even if no one ever sees it, it's a finished product.
Right.
So just having her work on something like that, but she could totally do that, or maybe finding. I don't know if you know Sister Alexander, but she is in the Fair Oaks Ward, and she has a website that it's called Educate Empower Kids, and it's all about keeping kids off of internet, or making kids safe on the internet and keeping them away from bad stuff on the internet. Amy could totally write something. I mean, this is just throwing it out there, but you might say, hey, would you want a piece from an actual child that they could, hey, what about how they feel, or something they've learned, or she might be all about that. So anyways, there's lots of little things that you can do to do that. And then again, just making sure, I don't really think that's an issue, but just making sure that you're cognizant of that, because if she has challenging books, something that's a little bit hard for her, that's where she's gonna grow. And you want it to be, in education we call it the zone of proximal development. You don't want it to be so frustrating that she's like, I can't read this, or I don't like this. But if she's asking you, once a page or something, hey, what's this word, or what does that mean, or something, that's where she's gonna grow. And I didn't realize this until I was taking this class, but a lot of vocabulary and stuff, actually our vocabulary, they were talking about how dyslexics have a really disadvantage, because not only in some ways they shine because their brain learns to think deeper, but a lot of our vocabulary comes from reading and picking up context clues, and we learn a lot of meaning, not from someone sitting down and telling us, this is what astronomical means, but reading it in a few books, you're going, oh, that's what that means. How sometimes what a word means, you can't even exactly tell them the definition, but kind of what it means because you've seen that. And so, anyways, just making sure that she's continuing to do lots of good reading, but she's doing really fantastic. I honestly have seen, a lot of growth in her. I feel really good about her reading level, and her writing potential. She's enjoying it. She's having fun. She's learning.
She is.
So good job. And anything else you would like to ask or say, or anything like that?
I agree, and I appreciate the tips you've given me, and you've given me some good ideas.
That's good. I appreciate that. Again, thank you for letting me come visit with her, and we'll have to come up with something again, because I'm gonna miss just seeing her. But we'll come play a game and bring a game or something like that. But cool. All right. Thank you so much.